this better?
It's normal. Yeah.
Okay, it's normal.
It's fine.
Good. Thanks, John.
It's all good.
So, well, thanks everyone for showing up, and Ray, welcome. We have both of our new people, Ian and was it Gaylord, joining us today. So thanks for being here. I'm Dave Markle, and welcome to the Breakout for Cub Scouts. And although Mike did say he wanted to avoid us being PowerPointed into submission, I'm taking his lead because he's Mr. PowerPoint. So I actually have a PowerPoint tonight. So for those who don't know me, I'm Dave Markle. Daryl Crossman, who's not on, he is an assistant roundtable commissioner, and Greg Rule from former Tuwalda District has volunteered to be an assistant roundtable commissioner to help us out. So thank you, Greg. Although Greg cannot make these Thursday meetings at the current time because he's got piano lessons for one of his kids. So anyway, so this is our leadership group for the Cub Scout Roundtable and other roundtables, along with Heather Crossman, who is technically my boss. Heather, you're still here, right? Is she? Oh,
I'm here. Yes, okay. I'm here. I'm just off camera because I'm still working.
Got it. Great. Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yep. Okay. So there she's on. And then, so tonight's agenda, we're going to do some welcome and attendee introductions. I'd like everyone to just, because if we were together, we'd do the same thing. Then we'll talk about training opportunities, which Mike has already covered. So a lot of this is just going to be rehashing things that are related to Cub Scouts. Then we'll talk about recruitment. And then we'll talk about the Recruiter Award, which ties right into the recruitment, and some PAC leadership awards that you can be prepared for as we get closer towards the end of the scouting year and want to recognize folks. So, let's see here. Wow, how do I have that already? I didn't even have to put my welcome attendees. So I'm going to go around, let's go around the horn, and so everyone can just kind of speak up. I'm Dave Markle. I'm actually with PAC 383 at Cooper Mountain Elementary, and go ahead, and who wants to go next and just kind of shout out? Okay, how about you, Ian? Oh, I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Ian?
No.
Ian, yeah, you took yourself off of mute, but we still couldn't hear you.
How about this? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got it.
This is the curse of having multiple audio devices. Anyway, my name is Ian Johnson, committee chair, PAC 685. We're based out of Fir Grove Elementary. They're in Central Beaverton. And yeah, happy to be here.
Hey, Rebecca?
Okay, sorry. I'm in the room with Tony. So Rebecca Castellano, Cub Master, PAC 136 out of Valley Catholic.
And I'm Tony. I'm the committee chair.
Great tag team right there.
Committee right here.
How about you, Joe?
Hi, I'm Joe Davis. I'm Cub Master for PAC 260 out of Rock Creek Christian Center.
Okay. And Stephanie?
Stephanie Reutstein. I'm the Chartered Org Rep with PAC 383.
Thank you. Samantha?
Hi, I'm Samantha. I am the Cub Master for PAC 195.
Oh, where are you at?
In Hillsboro.
Hillsboro, great. How about Rudy?
Yeah, hi, Rudy Murgo, Den leader, currently likely going to be the Cub Master of PAC 598 Holy Trinity in Beaverton.
Great. And do we already get, how about Josh?
Hi, Josh, committee chair of PAC 195. We're sort of based out of Emley Elementary in Hillsboro.
Great. And I think that's all of us. I believe Joe, I think Joe already went, right? So anyway, well, thanks everyone for joining on this conversation. I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly to give some time at the end, because I think the best part of Roundtable is actually getting to everyone get to talk about what's going on in their world and what they really want to focus on. So upcoming training, a lot of these things Mike already went over, but like you think about being Cub Scout leaders, any of the trainings are good for us because we might end up at the troop level. So Leave No Trace trainer course, that's available April 2nd. And look at April 2nd, there's like 4 things all happening at the same time. So the big one I highlighted was Baloo training, because obviously if you want to take your PAC to get out after 2 years of not being able to get out, you got to make sure you have some Baloo trained leaders on there if it's not a district or council level camp. So I would recommend you get that done. And IOLS as well. Then April 8th, there's those outdoor skills training, like climbing instructor level 2 training. It's 2 different weekends and you have to be at both places. It's the first weekend's Camp Baldwin, the second one's Horse Thief Butte. I'm not even sure where that's at actually. Then there's the Merit Badge University they were talking about for those who are wanting to be Merit Badge counselors. And then BB gun, slingshot, archery, range master certification, all at Camp Lewis on April 23rd. I know that Mike mentioned some other stuff further down the calendar, but since we have a monthly roundtable, we'll cover some of those as we get closer to those events happening. Anybody have any questions about those trainings? Yep. Okay. I have to mention Wood Badge just because I'm one of those people who drank the Kool-Aid, and I know there's other folks on here who have also drinking the Kool-Aid, but Wood Badge is great, especially for any of the newer leaders. And if you weren't previously a Scout, even more so. But I was a Cub Scout. I didn't go to Eagle, but I did Wood Badge right off the bat when I was pretty much I was going to be volunteered to be Cub Master. So I thought it was a great opportunity to kind of just jumpstart my scouting knowledge and reinforce what the program is all about. And we actually had 5 other people from my pack do it at the last session. So, and we totally encourage all of you to do Wood Badge if you haven't already done it. And I think it's a great experience. I know that Ben was on the most recent session. Ray's gone through it. I've gone through it. Anyone else already do Wood Badge on here? Could be a sounding board of saying that's a good idea.
I haven't done it, but I'm signed up for it for this year. So I'm very interested in this Kool-Aid.
It's good. It's like fruit punch. It's very good. So anyway, definitely believe in it. So you've got time. I think
If I've done it, I did it last year.
Oh, hold on. Yes, you yep. Yes, you were with Steve, weren't you? Wasn't Steve?
I was.
Yeah, Stephanie is his wife, so on here with us. So anyway, yeah, that was an awesome group as new curriculum. So I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know if you thought that.
It's good Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's good Kool-Aid. Okay, great. So anyway, sign up for Wood Badge, you guys. Oops. Oh, and then let's see here. Oh, and what is Wood Badge? Again, I already gave a brief synopsis of it. It's really teaching skills that are not just scouting skills, but it's life skills. And a lot of people end up using it as their personal development for their work. And sometimes people's companies will sponsor the enrollment fee. So anyway, it's one of those things. If you can talk to your boss and have that count as your development plan for the year, then even more power to you. So I recommend doing it. And scouting this spring and beyond. This is info. This is some art from our current plethora of art that's available through the through the council's marketing site. And basically, it's a talk about our spring recruitment initiative. So, not sure if all of you have talked about doing something for spring. I know there's always a big push to do recruitment right around the beginning of the school year, when everyone's excited to be going back to school and seeing classmates. But really, spring recruitment is huge because we can get kids excited about Scouts prior to going to summer camp. And we all know summer camp is the activity that just gets everyone hooked. It is the hook that gets kids wanting to do it and get to camp the next year. So how do we get momentum into getting Scouts interested in scouting now to fill our funnel early, so that when we come to the fall, it's basically cleaning up and getting those extra kids who were always heard these great stories from their classmates who went to summer camp and now they want to get involved. So you want to have a major recruitment drive in the spring to bring in fresh Scouts, and we know that they're going to have fun. And a lot of us have just graduated out a bunch of AOLs. And I know that our pack, we just depleted our number by 13. We have 13 Arab Lights crossed into BSA. So, we have a big hole in our number right now. So we want to go ahead and replenish that with kids coming in or trickling in all the way up till camp time. So, and the benefits are we can get an idea of what our den numbers are going to look like come the fall, maybe get our eyes on some potential parent volunteers. And anyway, though it's easy to talk about this, it's always kind of harder to implement. So planning is the key, right? Planning and organization are the keys to success. So basically, you have to think to you guys selves, what is your primary source of new scouts? Are you part of a school or a church? Probably want to focus on one of these sources at a time. And like, I mean, our pack, we are part of Cooper Mountain Elementary. We have a ton of scouts from different schools, but a lot of our focus will be what are the events and things happening with the school and their event. So as you see, be familiar with the school calendar, the staff and principal. We are lucky that we have a very involved chartered org rep who's part of the PTO. And so she keeps good eyes for us on what activities the school's having. And granted, my tenure as a pack Cub Master has been very tough because 2 of the 3 years have been in COVID. And as all you guys all know, the things that we normally do in COVID are nothing like they would be in previous years, where you could have carnivals and fun runs and all kinds of things where you have stuff outside and bring people together, whereas now you can barely get onto the campuses. So this will be potentially the first spring recruitment we can actually have a pop-up tent on campus and doing things in the school maybe. So this is a big deal for us now because we really lost a lot of scouts during COVID. So how do we get a good, successful spring campaign? So we need to have a connect point. And so whether it is an open house, which usually doesn't happen in the spring, but there's going to be book fairs or Stephanie, do you have an example of something that Cooper Mountain does for the spring?
So I sent a message in the chat that I just reached out to the school about getting a table at kinder orientation. Okay. I know that we do have the spring fundraiser coming up, which will also happen, which is in June, or at the beginning of June. So hopefully, maybe we can get in there, but, and then obviously our Cougar Run.
Yep. Okay. So I think the Cougar Run used to be in the spring, fall, but if they're going to in the spring, that's great. So for all of you, whether you're part of a church or a school, some of these events, it says choose one or more, and we would recommend more because the more, it's all about exposure. So if you have a pack that's basically really only has 2 Weeblos and 1 wolf, how do we get those kids out there with the leader in uniform and manning a table and showing that it can be fun and display things? And we'll talk about some of those strategies and how it would look. It doesn't have to be extravagant. So look at those events, pick a date about a week before that event, and then a week after for your unit's recruitment event. So pick a date roughly 1 week later. So you basically, if your open house is on May 1st, then May 7th, you have your date, because you're going to try to recruit people at that open house and then get them to your joint event a week later. And then pick a prior date for planning, so that way people are going to be there. So you got to find out what this connect point activity is going to be. And then at planning for your recruitment. So the sequence should be planning it, 1 or more connecting points, and then recruitment extravaganza, which is the actual event. So let's talk about the planning piece. So with planning, this might be a big stretch, but you have a 12-month calendar already set up. You might have to talk about what you've done in the past and what you maybe want to do or continue doing right now, because our last 12 or 24 months have been actually quite different than what it's been normally. So, but you want to have an idea what you're going to do for 12 months, because you need to put that together for a packet for potential parents and scouts to see what kind of things you're going to do over the course of the year. And then
I found that it can be vague, that saying that you hope to do a camping trip in May is good enough.
Yeah,
exactly.
You don't even have to have the date, the time, or the location.
Just something in the month, just so that they see that something is going to happen, and that what the kinds of things that we do.
Exactly. And you could even say, historically we've done this. You could say we go to a Hops game, or we go to a Winterhawks game. If you don't happen to go that year, it's things that you've done in the past that the pack usually does. So yeah, just have something on there rather than having a pretty much a blank calendar. So plan for the connect point with flyers, and then plan for the recruitment piece, the actual event that you're going to get them to come to. So the primary goal is to have a printed calendar. And I know that we've had one, and we just have easy things. If you create one now, then you can keep updating each year and changing the year and maybe changing the contact people on it, directing them to your join night. And here's what we're going to do. So hold on. See, this is an old link. I'm sorry. I'm recycling Mike's previous PowerPoint from 2016. So didn't get rid of all his links. So creating flyers, I did update this hyperlink. We do have, if you go into the council's site and you can go to recruitment resources, there's a way for you to sign up for access to a bunch of artwork and stuff that's customizable. So they've created templates that you can work on, and you just have to plug in your unit's information and contact information. So there's some really nice things in there. So I would recommend you go there, and it's pretty easy. Just put in your information and you'll get a link to get into it. So
hey, David, I was going to say that's actually a pretty good resource. And back in the fall, we actually had the opportunity to do basically have a scouts table at like the Meet Your Teacher event at the school. Yeah, because back to your earlier point about like all these events where like potentially you can recruit have all been like hypothetical in this pandemic era. So like the fact we actually have these things now is a good thing. But anyway, at that Meet Your Teacher event, I had gone to that and printed out the flyer. It was like a double-sided color thing. And in fact, I worked with I just sent it to like FedEx office and printed out, some nice color copies. The guy at the FedEx office mentioned like, man, these look really good. If I was a kid, I would join your Scouts pack. I'm like, oh, there you go. These flyers must be doing something right. So.
And that's the nice thing. We don't have to worry about being creative and artsy like that. They pretty much have it. You just need to put some of the content in. Yeah, go to Kinko's, go to FedEx, get it printed up, and it looks really, it really looks snazzy. And if it looks that snazzy, people think, okay, you guys know what you're doing. This is going to be a good unit because you got good looking collateral. Also, they have stickers, yard signs, postcards, and posters. I already signed up to get some more yard signs and a grommeted vinyl flyer that the council gives us. So, if the council is going to provide it to you guys, just order it. Just keep it on hand. So again, you don't have this specific, so that's why planning is involved, because you want to have these flyers. If you're gonna have some cool flyers made, you're gonna want to have this stuff ready to go and stick to it. So have your date, your time, your location, some of the things you might be doing, because we know there's gonna be, maybe you're having stomp rockets for the kids and making s'mores or something, and also that's gonna keep the kids occupied while the parents are listening to you. And then sadly, you got to put on the cost to join your unit. We don't want sticker shock, and we know that exists. Uniforms aren't cheap, and initially the cost to join up sounds expensive, but if you tell them what that cost is per month, it's a lot more palatable. And then make sure there's contact information that of someone who's actually going to respond and is monitoring those emails and that phone number. Another thing you should probably do is make recruitment cards. So if you have business cards made to hand out, or even to have stapled to your flyer or your calendar that you can hand out, it makes it easy. Or I just had these made for myself. I actually can make some for my committee chair and my chartered org rep and assistant scoutmaster, because a couple of them are involved and really see people a lot. So I'm going to give these to them so they can hand it out to folks they know. And maybe you guys keep some of these in your wallet, because if you're out somewhere and you hear about a friend or a colleague that's got a kid who's interested in scouting, then you can just hand them your handy dandy Cub Scout leader business card, and maybe, hey, that's usually pretty impactful for them too. So I did go to Vistaprint, and yeah, they're pretty easy to work with. So not to say you have to, but I think it's a cool idea to do that. And so contact information, links on how to get to beascout.org, and we have our own little link that ties to beascout.org. Things like that. So you guys can design it however you wish, but I went for the pre-made templates to make it easier. Okay, so one or more connect points. So get the word out, meet people, and pass out flyers. So maybe you need to divide and conquer. If you have a small pack, basically it's going to be you and your scouts representing and being out there for every single one. But if you have a bigger pack, maybe you can split up the duties between different dens to actually go out and hand out the flyers. We want everyone at the actual joint event, or at joint events. But if you have these contact points, maybe split, have shifts. So have many recruitment flyers ready to go, have a good display. We'll have some examples of those coming up. Show some of the things that kids work on, their crafts. Definitely have picture boards of all the things they're doing. If you're really cool, maybe have a computer or monitor set up with a PowerPoint slideshow going on with videos and things that the unit has done. That's all gonna kind of help hook the parents and the kids. So, and also have your kids out in uniform. And if you're an adult leader, definitely dress up, put on your uniform and look snappy, because you want people to know that you have a good unit and that they've got trained leaders, and all the parents want kids to have trained leaders. and put on your smile, drink your coffee, be ready to go. Hopefully you've eaten. Don't want any hangry people like me. So I got to pack my snacks if you're going to do this, and make sure you have a sign-in sheet and get out the names and contact information, because you definitely don't want to lose any of those leads who show up to your booth. So here's some pictures coming up of Pack 685 back in the day. I know, Ian, this is your group. These are going to be dated because of Mike. But anyway, so this is them at, I believe, at Fir Grove, where the school's at.
That's my kid, Dave.
That's a Crossman. Okay.
Yes.
There's a Crossman there. And then here's another shot of Mike and the tent and their banner. So if you guys have a banner or something you've used for a parade or something, definitely use that as part of your display. I did throw in one for Pack 383 at the last time we actually could go to anything. We had a table with some couple different years of picture boards, and then something with a bunch of patches on it, and we had our flyers and our calendar. So anyway, things like that. And this sign I made here is just a navy blue sheet with a bunch of applique put on top of it. So, and I bought the jumbo size patch at the Scout Shop. So anyway, there's ways to make something look big and beautiful there. And more 685 love here. But again, this was an indoor one. Have things on the table, show a uniform, just show pictures. Again, these are display boards that are not super fancy. And as long as, if you have one of these, then you can use them for years. I might want to switch out some of the pictures so that people don't look out of style, but you do want to have, these aren't something that are just once and done. You'll use them for a bunch of different events, and yeah, they're really handy, especially if someone puts the effort to make it. Then use it for multiple campaigns for recruitment. And here you can see some old actual Scout books, which I don't think I've ever bought one in the last few years because it's all digital now. But anyway, anything that shows and lets the kids look at what they're doing, what they might be up to. And then recruitment, the actual recruitment event extravaganza. So the big deal. So two-pronged strategy here. You need to have youth activities and then the parent breakout piece. So let's talk about the youth activities and getting them having fun and away from the parents. So you're gonna have to have, let's say, rotation of stations for scouts. You want to merge your current scouts with prospective scouts, so have scouts of different ages there, and then ask for help. PAC parents can help out. Other assistant band leaders or maybe committee members, have them help out with managing the prospective scouts. So you have there's things you can do, like they have water bottle rockets, stomp rockets, carnival games, scout crafts. I'm not sure what a Q-tip shooter is, but edible campfires, kettle corn, or if you're really ambitious, you could even have a rain gutter regatta setup, or Pinewood Derby, or Space Derby. Again, here, this is apparently an edible campfire. I've never had one of these before, but it looks fun. We got the your events now. Maybe throwing the ladder golf is maybe a dangerous thing, so we stick to some of these other things. But again, something that keeps the kids occupied and having fun, and keeps them away from the parents while the other leaders are trying to, win over the parents. So here's examples of stomp rockets. Again, if you're able to do things outside, even better. If it happens to be indoors, then maybe not so much stomp rockets. But again, these people are doing a rain gutter regatta. Maybe not such a good idea with blowing things around with COVID right now, but they're far enough apart, I guess. And here's a 3-lane Pinewood Derby track. So again, maybe you do that, but you probably want to bring pre-made cars because definitely not going to have them make it at the event. So successful methods include having youth explode, race, or launch things, feeding the prospects, so candy, snacks, cupcakes, cookies, something that makes them happy and full of sugar. And then sending prospective scouts home with something they made. So again, nothing with a bunch of glue or paint, but maybe they make a woggle or something like that. And then Cub Master coordinates it, and the den leaders, they're in charge of herding all the youth. So successful methods do not include being late, being disorganized, and any high pressure sales tactics. So and nobody wants to be pressured into it. We want them to say, man, how do I sign up now? So again, not like us trying to get you to be volunteer leaders. So let's not do that for when they're signing up people. Say the other part of the two-pronged strategy is the parent breakout. Okay, so I'll pull all the parents together, the guardians. You need to have a good adult discussion, talking about the selling points of the scouting program, selling your unit, answering questions, and then last but not least, having those applications there and filled out. So maybe you bring some laptop computers and have them ready on the beascout.org sign up pages. So again, this is your option to sell your pack to the adults. So I would say have, again, other volunteers there who can speak to the program, what they do, what it means to their kids, and make sure that they're away from the noise of the kids so they can actually hear you. And then have your packets ready and go over it with them. You can go over the calendar, go over the cost sheet and what that means. You can talk about ways to help finance via either PAC scholarships or council scholarships, the camping piece, and talk about summer camp. And then again, get to talk to all these people as if they've never been in scouting or know anything about scouting. I mean, are we always lucky to have the family that was all previous campfire and Eagle Scouts and what have you? And it's like, no, in fact, majority of folks nowadays just think it's a good idea, but had no idea or have never been a scout before. So again, it doesn't hurt to also have a stack of adult applications with you at this event. So can't say I've ever really signed up a den leader right from a recruiting event, but you never know. You can at least drip the idea on it later. So take a few minutes to sell scouting. And what is the way to best do this is with a video. So I don't know, I have to lean on Ray to make a video for us, but we don't have one. But this is an example of a video. Let's see here. Wait, are you guys still able to see my screen or not? Did it change? You don't see. Oh, I'm gonna have to share a different screen here. Hold on. I'm gonna pause this. All right. Who can help me with technology? If I want to go and change my sharing screen, how do I do this here?
If you want to change the sharing screen, you probably have to cancel sharing. And
I'll have to like
restart
stop
it.
sharing.
But you might be able to take that window and drag it over.
Oh, hold on. Here, check this out. Let's see, does that screen showing now with a video on it?
Yep.
Can you see this?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna skip the ad now.
Everyone knows a goal of scouting is to prepare young people to succeed in life. But is it working? What if we can understand just how effective scouting is in shaping young minds?
Thanks to the John Templeton Foundation, the BSA was able to partner with Dr. Richard Lerner and his team from Tufts University to follow nearly 1,800 Cub Scouts for 3 years and compare them to nearly 400 boys of similar backgrounds who are not in Scouts. What they found was remarkable.
Cub Scouts show significant positive development in attributes of being cheerful, helpful, kind, obedient, trustworthy, and hopeful.
But there were no significant increases in these character attributes among non-Scouts. In fact, non-Scouts reported decreased scores for the attribute of religious reverence.
Scouts were also more likely than non-Scouts to choose helping others or doing the right thing over being smart, being the best, or playing sports.
What's more, youth who participated in both sports and scouting were more likely to choose these same values than those who only played sports.
And finally, the study showed that boys who spent more time in scouting had higher positive character attributes.
Scouting builds positive character and provides young people with a foundation they can stand on to embrace opportunity and overcome obstacles.
With fun and discovery at every turn, scouting makes the most of right now. Scouting works.
Yay. Okay, hold on. Let's change. Let's go back to my. Okay, where are we? Am I sharing the right screen now?
You're showing Camp for All.
How about this? Are we back to my presentation?
Yes.
Oh, hold on, but then I gotta go back to this thing. Shoot, per case, but you're seeing the small version, right? Are you guys seeing the small version of the presentation rather than the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we see the view inside PowerPoint, not the full presentation.
Let's see if I can do that.
There you go.
Is it, are we there again?
Yeah.
You're there.
Okay, great. Phew. Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's now hand out our recruitment packets, briefly discuss each item. Okay, talk about the cost. We talked about all that stuff. I'm not sure if you need to have to pack treasurer there, but I'm sure that the committee chair and the Cub Master, everyone should be able to speak to what the fees are and why and how we subsidize that and what, and especially the pack dues, because we know the pack dues are different from unit to unit, but everyone pays the same council fees and national registration fees. And then who am I? Says son, but this was made before we have girls and Cub Scouting. But who will my child's leader be? Again, that's a great time to say, well, it really depends. And so, especially if you have like lions and tigers, you're trying to get them to say, well, that opportunity is an opportunity for you to help us out. Because again, like we all know that we all get paid the same, and that everyone doesn't just grow up to be or want to just jump right in and be a den leader. But with our pack, everything is collaborative. We share the load, and more. I might be a Cub Master in title, but really, it's everyone's is pushing this boat. So again, it's one of those things where if you can lean support and say, well, you can have a team of people working on it, then people feel less stressed out about it. But again, this is just a recruiting event. We can drip on the idea of them potentially being a leader, but let's just get their kids signed up for scouts first, and then. Recruitment packets are tools. So we talked about the packet, and then see pack information, new parent guide. Some you guys might have one. I'm usually see these more with troops, but I haven't really seen a Cub Scout parent guide. Do any of your packs have a parent guide for new recruits?
We made one.
Yeah, do you guys keep it up to date and hand out with all your materials? Tony, if you're talking, you're on mute again. Tony, you're on mute.
Sorry, we made it for the event we had some of this last fall, so it was up to date as we just made it for the first.
Well, good. That means you're ready for spring then, right? Just change.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nice thing about having it, if you save it, just update the dates, maybe change some of the people if you need, and then reprint. So again, I think for all of us, if we're planning ahead, then it's a good time to work on our recruiting materials.
685 used one for many, many, many years, Dave, and I think there's an example of it that if you wanted to send it out, there's one in the drive. And 685 used it as a way to kind of cover a lot of stuff that, rather than standing in front of people and talking about it, like here's what the organization looks like, here's what council, district, that kind of thing, as well as the description of what the ranks look like. We put leader bios in there with pictures and things like that. And so just kind of just information to be like, take this and read it on your own rather than talk about it at the meeting.
Right, like almost like a Cub Scouting Cliff Notes about just.
Yes.
Yeah. So Cub Scouting, at least pack Cliff Notes. So if you guys can create one, that is huge. Well, obviously, these are really nice color bound ones. I think this is definitely not something we've put together. But I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you get something this awesome put together? And the other part is making sure your Be a Scout pin is all ready to go and up to date, which I assume everyone's has already done it because we needed it for rechartering back before December. So trying to think what else is on here. Oh yeah, the folks don't like to fill out paper forms anymore, so they prefer online applications. So again, it's if you got computers, I know Ray's always bought extra laptops and had them linked up with his hotspot because sometimes he didn't get internet, but to have people actually sign up right then and there. Now we did have a little trouble last year. We were at the Grange in a basement and we didn't get a whole lot of bandwidth. So we did kind of get stalled on trying to get scouts signed up right there with our guidance, because sometimes parents get confused and not sure what they're looking for. But again, if you have it ready to go, then might as well close the deal right there at your event. And if not, maybe QR codes, create those so they can just take a picture of it and bam, it's on their phone and they can do it when they feel they have more time, or have to, maybe they've got to check with the other parent if they're not there to get clearance, things like that. And then wrap it up. this is where the magic happens. So when you bring the kids back in to rejoin their parents, and the kids are having so much fun and talking about the things they did with the scouts outside, and then you can probably show a video at this time of the pack. Again, this is the a video of basically a video montage, photo montage of all the things the pack has done in the past that make it look like you guys do a ton of stuff all year long, which is, again, when there's pictures of you guys and actual people they're seeing in front of them in these photos, it shows that, yeah, you're actually doing these things throughout the year. So that will help them, decide that this is a good decision to join the program and join your unit. Oops. Let's see here. Okay, have a process for checkout. If you, again, submitting the applications, making the payments. And I'm not sure if you guys have a way, or all you guys have set up to do like online payments for even your pack dues. We have that set up through our pack store. But again, whatever makes it easier for people, since nowadays folks are digitally inclined, have those things ready to go. I'm not sure if anyone's really taking checks or, getting their dues in a little envelope every month anymore, but that might still happen. And then, again, this is a do your best thing. As we all know, Cub Scout Miles, do your best. If you don't have like 3 point events and then 1 big event, then doesn't mean you failed. If you can get to 1, if you recruit 2 kids, if you're a pack of 3 and you just picked up 2 kids, I mean, holy cow, 66% increase in pack size is very successful. So again, no one's asking for you to recruit battalions of scouts from this effort, but really just to get the ball rolling. And again, it's all about exposure and get your kids out in uniform. And people see that in the community, they see the good things you're doing, then they might be, oh man, how do I get my kid involved in that? So again, this is farming as far as I'm concerned. It's not a sprint. We're planting seeds, and frankly, those seeds come to fruit all through the school year. And we know that you can join scouting at any time. There's not just the spring and then the fall. It's throughout the year we keep picking up scouts. So again, just do your best, and with the resources and the people that you have available and the space you're provided. So again, doesn't have to be huge. And let's see. Key 3 to recruitment is the planning, getting the word out, and having the recruitment event. And then let's see, recruiter awards. So again, if you have existing scouts that if they don't already have this recruiter strip, this is a good time for them to start thinking about who can of my classmates might want to go to summer camp this summer. And in order for them to come with me to go to summer camp, I need to get them into our unit. So let's get some friends, and they can earn a recruiting strip for helping recruit a new scout. So anyone from the Lion to the Weeblos can earn this. And it's a nice little pocket right underneath your right pocket that you can put that on your uniform. And again, it's there's no formal requirement for saying this was my recruit. Sometimes a couple of kids in the pack might have one friend that they were both kind of tag teaming to get in to join. Then we gave a recruiting trip to 2 scouts for ending up with the same scout, because frankly it was both of their efforts that got the kid to join. So again, this is get them excited about recruiting new friends and new scouts, and award them with a recruiting strip. And see, final thoughts, start, stop, continue. Okay, so boy, I think I don't know if I want to talk about that right now. Thought I had one more. There was another slide I had on here that I guess I didn't put in here, but I was also going to talk about toward the end of the year. Part of recruitment is not just the scouts. It's also how do we keep getting the parents involved, or to take a greater role than just being the parent who shows up to the den meeting or the pack meeting. And part of that is showing that you recognize those other parents who have already taken that step to put on the uniform, or maybe it's not a uniform position, like they're doing the treasurer job or your charter org rep. I mean, they can wear a uniform, but they don't have to. But by awarding them with those who will wear the uniform and do certain trainings, get them not. So I was thinking the Den Leader Training Award, make sure that as we get toward the year, once they've completed a certain amount of time and trainings and meetings with if they have an assistant den leader, they can earn their Den Leader Training Award. So you want to put in the paperwork for that so that you have have it approved by district and get those knots and the certificate prepared for whenever your last meeting might be or your graduation campfire. Same with Scouters Training Awards, especially for those who've been around for a couple of times, have done Wood Badge, or they've gone to Baloo or University of Scouting, or attended at least 4 roundtables. There's some awards that you can get, and those knots, basically that's the really only kind of currency we can provide to our registered leaders who are giving their time, is to recognize them for what they're doing with those type of knots and things like that. So, and they don't have to be knots. If you got other people who are volunteering and you want to get them, like, coolest PAC parent award, then do that too. But again, if you recognize them at the PAC meetings in a public setting, it helps validate, the time and effort they put into it. And we'll show other parents, yeah, this is a fun group. They recognize each other and they support each other. And, frankly, this roundtable I call Cub Scout leader support group rather than a roundtable, because we're all wrestling with the same things. We're all really busy, and sometimes the last thing you want to think about is, oh gosh, I got to do something for the next PAC meeting or the next DEN meeting. So thank you guys all for doing the roles you're doing right now. So again, remember those potential recognition with knots, and also tenure pins. Make sure you think about the tenure pins for who's been in scouting, and even that little tenure pin with the blue backing, it's another form of recognition for their time as both, heck, if they were a kid scout through adult leadership, and you can add all those years together. So again, it's another piece of recognition to put out there. All right, that being said, let's see here. Okay, so let's talk. How many of you guys are ready for spring recruitment? Because I'm going to put up and say we're not ready yet, and definitely going to be a topic at our next committee meeting at the end of this month. So
we've set the date. Our schools run, the school that we're primarily at is having a carnival in June, so we're going to do it late, but we're going to help. One of the things we're doing is we're going to help clean and set up and clean from it.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get a bunch of our Cubs, even from other schools, there in uniform running around. Well, I think it worked pretty well last fall when we had that brief window of being able to do things in person.
Yeah.
We probably got 6 or 8 scouts from the back to school night. One thing I will mention, so great information about doing physical events, now that we have to sort of remember how in the world we used to do that. One thing that I found very important over the last couple of years is responding to the leads that come in on Be a Scout, making sure it gets to a person who actually checks, pretty much looks every day and gets back and, just has a little form letter and says, thanks for reaching out. Can we have a phone call? And calling them and having a 30-40 minute phone call. And I find that having that call with people is turns those leads into a 60-70% conversion rate.
Totally agree with that.
And a number of people that end up coming into our unit say that basically they tried to request information from another PAC and never heard.
I was about to say that, Josh. The feedback I get is hey, you responded so quickly. I've reached out to other ones and I've been crickets, or they're ghosting me. So by responding quickly, they're like, whoa, just that responsiveness is you're already a leg up on having them say yes to joining your unit. So yeah, that's huge, Josh, is just the speed to response and getting to those leads. Because I feel horrible if I go, oh gosh, this has been in my inbox for 2 days. Granted, maybe I give myself a little grace over a weekend, but in the meantime, you want to get there quick, because you want to get it while the iron's hot, while they're thinking about it. And so having that form letter ready to go, popping it in there, and I've got one. I basically recycle the same one, change the gender of the kid, the grade of the kid, and what leaders I CC based off of their grade, so I can, here's your den leaders or potential den leaders. It's but it's a great way to just have it ready to rock, and they get a quick response. And I always include my phone number and email and tell them they can call me. And when they do call, and you actually have that conversation, that's pretty much they're going to be there. So
yeah, I guess I'm a little more aggressive. I ask, can I call you?
Oh, if that's what it takes, call. right? Seal the deal. Who else has got something already planned, or we're gonna think about it now? Ian, you guys got
We
one?
don't have our join night planned. However, what did come up on the calendar is the Fir Grove Elementary that we're chartered with is doing like a science fair night sometime in the spring. And so the plan here is to get a scouts table there at the science night. And someone was like, oh, we could, there could be like a Pinewood Derby track that shows how, gravity and cars. And I'm like, yes, this is a great idea. We should be in person because I have to believe that the people seeing, scouts in action is way more effective than a lot of other methods.
Is it gonna be outside or inside?
Probably a combination. I haven't actually gotten any of the details yet, but the short of it is, hey, it's a big event and we can have a table there. So yes, we will have a table there.
Sounds like a good time for water pressure 2-liter bottle rockets.
Hey, I had a question for Josh. This is Spencer.
All right, sure thing.
What school district are you with? Because Beaverton's been pretty tight on having events with scouts.
Yes, Beaverton is its own thing. That's why I was Hillsborough School District.
Oh,
So,
okay, thanks. And yeah, I just concur. Spreadsheet with all those contacts and trying to get to a phone call is paramount. And if you can get a calendar to those parents that shows you're somewhat legit, it helps a lot too.
Oh yeah, and that reminds me, because I have a spreadsheet where I log the leads and whether or not they worked and what the last thing we talked about. And a number of them have wandered off and just stopped responding. But if we have this recruiting event we're going to do in June, and Sam, we need to have I think we should try to have a proper join night this year. I'm going to reach back out to the people that were least interested enough to have a phone call or two with me in the past, and maybe be like, hey, now that we're in a different space, let's try, we'd love to talk to you again.
That's big too.
Yeah, Josh, that I've had several parents, they say, contact me again, in the fall and spring. It's having really hitting them back up again when things clear up on their home front is important.
Yeah, we picked back up at Weeblos too, and then picked up his little brother because they stepped away for a year during COVID, but came back. And though we lost his brother who just stepped out, we got his younger brother. So it was, getting people back is another big thing.
So I guess, David, just the one thing on recruiting for me, I haven't been able to recruit because I have no space for new kids because we can't get into the schools. With better weather, I got some opportunities to, maybe start spinning up dens in people's garages, but it's hard.
What school are you guys at, Spencer?
We've got Springville and Sato, and at least I'm a commissioner for Oak Hills, 726, and at least they're getting into the church.
It doesn't. There's lots of great ways of organizing things, but from what you said, it sounds like you have the whole pack meet together for all the meetings.
Yeah,
there's a lot of advantages to that, but yeah, if space is. There's other reasons to break apart, but space is certainly one of them.
Yeah, the den's not a size where it's conducive to have split out dens. So to get the critical mass people, you've kind of combined them for the sake of having the critical mass of people there.
Yeah, it's just like, things have kind of atrophied down so low. It sure is a lot easier on the leaders to be able to consolidate together, meeting in the multipurpose room to kind of manage things. It's
also a lot easier to explain. When people ask, when do you meet? Well, you meet, you have one solid answer, as opposed to a difficulty we face is, well, we meet on the first Wednesday of every month, plus a couple more times that will be decided after the school year starts and everyone knows their schedule.
Depending on the den leader and their schedule.
Which soccer team the den leader's kid got into.
Yeah, so it's kind of like morphed into like, we don't have pack meetings. We have outings. And so that's kind of where we at least, really kind of consolidate.
Again, you just got to do your best like you're doing, right? Even if you end up having to do advancement on the trail there and find a covered area and hand out badges that the kids have earned over time, then your outing is now your serves as your pack meeting too. But again, for us, we've been struggling with, we've been renting, they allowed us to rent the covered area because they're, we're not getting into the school, but we got covered area and having them practice proper outdoor clothing, practice there. So we've done it with projectors and what have you for our pack meetings. And sometimes the dens would split up and go to that place. So we'd try to squat at the nature park if no one's there and just be the first ones there and get that. But again, yeah, it's been, I'm gonna call it guerrilla scouting, just trying to get to where you can be, and depending on the size of the group, who's got a really, really big garage door and who's comfortable being, in that space with the garage door open with a couple heaters. So it's people, depending on your size, and because all the units are different sized. I mean, we got 15 bears, so I mean, it's kind of hard to just get into one person's garage. So we've had to get, one of our parents is a teacher at Southridge, and his principal lets us use the library. So like, whatever. If it somehow skirts BSD and gets the teacher friend secret handshake thing, then that's what we've been doing. But again, you got to do what you can. So if you're meeting outside and having it be a pack hike, which is all the dens together, then you're getting the kids outside and you're having them do something, and that's the most important part of the scouting. So yeah.
Oh, and my last comment is just like there's a lot of headwinds up against us right now, but there's this monster tailwind of parents really want to get their kids outside together doing creative things. And I've never had to recruit. It's just like first graders keep on just popping up out of the woodwork.
Well, if there's this camp cleanup, like school cleanup, and we have the kids show up, I think our chartered org reps tried to see how can we piggyback on a school thing with our scouts so that they're showing up with all their uniforms on it, and all the other classmates say, hey, how can we do that too? Because we serve that as our service project, yet it was already coordinated by the school or something that they were doing. So it helps to just get that exposure to the crowd you want to be exposed to. And granted, we're trying to find out how do we get into kindergartners and daycare so we can bring in the lion and tigers, because again, if you have a bunch of, when my son started as a scout, then he's currently a bear with 15 kids, but they started out with 3 kids, and so it's amazing how you keep building and snowballing, but you really want to have those younger ages come in kind of early so you can get your parents and your den leaders all set up. So how do we get the kindergartners and the first graders? And I know Pete was going to work on something related to trying to get us some access to, is it kindergarten or is it the daycares? I mean, I guess.
Well, I don't know if this is what you meant, but in Hillsborough, we do the school district, despite having a whole ton of elementary schools, only does 2 kindergarten sign-up days, basically. Yeah. And I think he's going to try to get us into there where we only need a couple adults, because if we only have to send three leaders and 3 kids to 2 events to essentially recruit lions for everybody that in the school district, all the packs, that's a huge.
That'd be a win. Yeah.
There'd be a win. And everyone needs to have their Be a Scout updated so that we even know what packs to pass them off to. But
right.
It's just getting them to even think.
Yeah, I'm hoping to work with Benjamin actually to coordinate a system to make sure we're tracking those leads and getting them. It's definitely an opportunity. I know that you've talked a little bit to Chris Bartel, Ben, and so there's resources coming from the council too that we can make use of. So yeah, that event, and also the idea of trying to work with preschools and daycares. But honestly, probably that's a relationship that we need to encourage PACs to start building. I can definitely reach out to preschools and daycares, but it's the kind of thing where it's very local, right? So you got to know the ones you're reaching out to. So those are my thoughts, at least.
I had a question, Pete, about funds for like printing. do we have resources for packs? I mean, printing's not cheap if you want color stuff, and so you end up with a $75 to $100 bill if you're building multiple pages and color, which usually is the stuff that pops that really grabs people. Is there support for printing?
Yes, there is a recruitment materials like request page on our website that you can use to request any materials that you would like. But the easiest to get are flyers, signs, and things like postcards and stickers and things like that.
And they're like minorly customizable, right? At least.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you need it faster than that, like if you need it like, hey, I have an event at the end of this week and I haven't printed flyers, then call me and I'll make it happen. I have access to the big printer. I can sneak in there, type in, Jason McPherson's code so it doesn't reflect on our district and print all the flyers all at once. Just kidding. I don't actually defraud the council, but I will print flyers for you.
Awesome.
So one of the things that our PAC 872 has done for a while is we have a Facebook group. So at a recruiting event, they say, "Oh, we're on Facebook," and it's pretty easy to find. And then if they friend the group, then they can kind of see all the updates. I don't know if that's like I don't know if the council really has a position on social media because I don't know. Is there, Dave, like, does the council kind of endorse social media, or is that sort of a slippery slope?
I mean, different units have different things. I mean, we've got a Facebook. I mean, we have a Facebook page, but it's not public. It's, you have to be invited. But I know people have stuff on Twitter and other things too. So I think so long as
there's a policy. BSA has a policy, and it's not what most people think it would be. So I would take a look at it.
Is it pretty restrictive, Josh, or what do you?
I will let Pete say however he wants.
You can look at the policy at the BSA Brand Center at scoutingwire.org. I don't know it well enough to quote it off the top of my head. I would describe it as we encourage your use of social media to reach out to people, but be careful about the personal information you have access to and what you're sharing with the outside world. There's lots of pictures and social media resources in the Brand Center that are approved for use publicly that I would recommend you making use of.
I think people were concerned about, if you have it on a public facing site, are you, photos of minors, things like that, and security like that. So that's why, I guess that's why you got to keep them private, because it's at least the parents who agree.
Well, that's its own thing, though.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a public thing. So.
Yeah, and if I could circle back to what Spencer was talking about with like the difficulties with schools and things like that. I think the pandemic has definitely revealed, some how do I want to word it? Some areas that we can definitely look at ways to think outside the box. And one of the things is, if we still want to be in the schools, you can work indirectly by reaching out to like the PTAs and the booster clubs. And work with them to, get the word out, get connected in terms of what events they have planned and are trying to do with the school, so that even though you can't physically be in the schools, you can still at least be connected with the school, in a way that you can get the word out about events. Because especially, I think the key thing also, and I really am glad that Dave mentioned about planting seeds, is that, it is about building those relationships, right? Planting the seeds and getting them involved. Yes, we want to recruit, but what's going to also be effective, right? Because, maybe you have people in your pack that they're already stretched thin, right? Or they're not, very good at pitching and selling, but they're really good at building relationships, or they're really good at, a specific task. And I think the key thing that at the end of the day, what I try to push or look for in my leadership or potential leadership in the adults is, what are they already good at, right? Leveraging what they already have within their toolbox, and then figuring out, how can I apply this to scouting? Instead of saying, this is what I need in scouting, I'm struggling to find the leaders to fill it. Kind of think in reverse. Look at who you already have, look at what their strengths are, and then leverage that in a way that would work for your pack. So to use the example of, like Spencer mentioned, going like all they can really do is outdoor activities, which is great because that's kind of what scouting is, right? Outdoor activities. So use that as kind of your recruiting tool and platform to say, and again, leverage other things like the PTA Booster Club, Next Door, and just get the word out. And then do what you guys are already doing because that's what you already love, because that's also who you want to attract, right? You want to attract other adults and scouts that do that. And, it's going to be a much easier quote unquote sell if you are resonating with those youth and adults that resonate with you, because you're going to have a much easier conversation about recruiting, about why they should join. Hey, we'd love doing that too. You should come check us out. So when everyone was sharing, I was thinking like outdoor activity, I automatically go to the zoo because I love the zoo. Just plan an outing at the zoo, hang out with them, build a relationship, because quite honestly, once they fall in love with your pack, it's going to be hard for them to say, I don't want to join your pack. You know what I mean? Because they've already seen what your pack does. They love it. And so it's hard to say no to those kind of opportunities when they already see what you're doing. So it's about the testimonies, the relationships. Those are going to be the big things that keep them coming, and I think going to be much easier in those kind of quote unquote lean times of when we don't have our traditional recruiting avenues. I think it's about looking into who you are as a pack in yourselves and leverage what you already have that works awesome, because play to your strengths, because that's what is going to work the best and give you the best return on your efforts. So thank you for that moment on my soapbox, and I will turn it over to the next person. Thank you.
This is a roundtable, man.
Yeah, good soapbox, man.
Anyone else? Struggles, questions?
No, I was going to, David, back to something that Doug mentioned about the social media. That's obviously we're, putting our chips in on the, the in-person meetings and events where you can actually connect with people and kind of get that, probably higher join rate. But we're also looking at this spring of seeing what can be done in terms of that kind of social media, online advertising, and so forth. Because I know that like there's been a few kind of webinar stuff about how exactly to do that. And I know there's even some like council resources about kind of pairing up with social media accounts. And to be honest, like we have a Facebook page, but like there's been really nothing going on there, and it just hasn't been a focus because we've been using kind of just email and text for our own group communication. But this spring, kind of on my own to-do list is the sort of like, how do we take a swag at reaching people digitally that we aren't able to meet in person, even though we totally want to meet in person. So it's more about doing both rather than just the one. But I was curious if anybody's had much experience in this group with finding those folks online outside of just the kind of be a scout, kind of reaching out to you.
We've done some, so we have the thing you are allowed to do is to have a public page that is, and what we do is we use it as a advertising mechanism and encourage families to share to try to expose within their group, as opposed to buying Facebook ads. It doesn't seem to have led to much to many leads. Now we'll never know, but it doesn't seem to have engaged anything. That said, could we be doing more? Yes. Currently it's just another thing on the Cub Master. It's not one we've been able to successfully farm off. We tried, but it didn't work, so it came back. Just like I do recruiting. But so that's our experience.
We have a Facebook, but that's private. But we do have a website, and Ray, I know that with you or Jason and Jason created it, and we got quite a few inquiries through that feeds right to our our email and asking about it, and so yeah, we've gotten quite a few leads, and I mean, not all of them actually end up with an application, but yeah, we've picked up quite a bit over the year, just because they wanted to know more about the pack after they saw our site and navigated it and then clicked on the contact us link. Ray, do you have
Yeah,
thoughts?
yeah, and I think part of the reason we're getting contacts through that website is because we occasionally get like the PTO or the principal on her newsletters to occasionally mention it, and so it's out in front of other people.
Yeah, Ian. So my question, I have a question. Like when you talk about Facebook and everything, what's kind of your end game with it? What are you hoping to get out of it when you're thinking about using social media, for example, as as a whole?
The goal here would just be about recruitment rather than a communication vehicle within the pack. So that's really the short of it, is that if it's, because right now I feel like our communication needs are met, through basic, email, text, and then we do have a site that we kind of have our weekly newsletter, whatever on. But yeah, really just about outreach. And so if people find that it doesn't effectively get beyond the people that you've got, then that kind of says, well, maybe put our energy into somewhere else. But
yeah,
like I said, I was kind of throwing out there of what have people found seems to work in terms of gathering leads.
Oh, well, if you're talking gathering leads, then yeah, that's kind of a different, basically what I'm getting at is, really just understanding, what you're hoping to get out. And it sounds like you have a clear understanding what you're trying to get, and then finding the best platform for it, because social media is great, but kind of to what Josh was sharing about it, it's, oh, I'm sorry. No, I think Ray was mentioning it about you have to, or it's best used if you can connect with maybe someone else's audience and leverage what they already have built up, right? Because with social media, because the platform moves so fast, because it's basically a feed. And so, if you're trying to, for example, advertise a specific event, then there's going to have to be more kind of that, what I'll call link building, right? Like getting the word out, sharing that link, getting your families to share. And that's what Josh was mentioning about, the people within your pack already, or whoever you're connected to, have them share it, right? So this kind of goes back to my point about leveraging who you already have that can do these things, reaching out to, definitely reach out to like Chris Bartel, because he's more than happy to post any sort of things that you have in the works and building that link and getting the word out, right? So it's about that, having that content that you're trying to promote. But if you're talking like an ongoing social media recruitment, then yeah, it's going to have to be constant promotion, constant posting, constant ongoing effort in order to make it work. So it is a good tool, but it really comes down to understanding like what you're trying to achieve, and then is the digital platform the best way to do it? Leads, I would say digital's not probably the best way. If you want exposure and outreach, it would be, because as long as you're constantly putting out posts, information about events or any sort of highlights for your pack, it's a great tool. But if you're trying to use it more of as a primary lead tool, I think you can get more bang from your buck from building the relationships within, having your parents and the youth actually do the outreach for you by, like Dave pointed out, those cards, having those on hand with you at all times, inviting families to outings and, pack meetings or fun stuff where you can build those relationships. And those are going to be really the best way to build those leads, I think. So, but there's no one size fits all, right? And that's why I'm saying like I deal with this every day, where I hear all these experts say, this is what you should do, this is what you need to do, but they never take into account well, every pack, as we know, has their own flavor of how they do scouting. And so, what works for one pack is not necessarily going to be working for another pack. So at the heart of how you leverage anything you're doing is understanding how your pack works, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and then that's going to help you better leverage what platforms, what channels, what things are going to work best. Because again, if you have nobody in let's say, for example, you have a pack that doesn't do social media, right? Then is that really the best avenue for your pack to try to advertise and do outreach and leads? because the pack doesn't do social media already. But then you got some awesome people that love selling and recruiting, passionate about talking about scouting. They should be going out and doing your recruiting for you by, talking to people, getting out into the community, building those relationships and things like that. So again, I always go back to, playing to your strengths and the leverage. So, so that's why I kind of asked, what was your goal with the
So Ben,
digital?
are you going to, as part of this committee, are you going to be able to, is this going to be something that people can reach out to you for in the future, or what just like if we tie up this conversation, are we going to be able to follow up and have people direct them to you related to the district's effort for like recruitment?
Absolutely. So again, my specific role is going to be about that awareness. And sorry, Josh. We'll see
Thank you,
ya.
Josh.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, I plan on sending out an email to all the leaders in the different packs and troops, and just kind of introduce myself, kind of lay out some goals and a game plan for that community awareness and awareness for for scouting in general. But part of it is going to also include this recruiting element, right? Because I keep harping on the idea of leverage, and so as we do this community outreach, my hope is that we're going to kill multiple birds with one stone by, as we do the community outreach, it is going to lead to, leads, more recruitment opportunities and so forth. But to answer your question, yes, my own personal contact information is going to be available where people can reach out to me directly and I was the one who actually asked about what are the main pain points, because I'm hoping to understand what is the biggest need that we can address, because then we can have a great foundation and then start building better awareness, more awareness, and getting more people involved in this process. And it'll make it much, much easier for recruiting, right? We know that if people are already familiar with scouting, it's going to be much easier to get them involved as opposed to someone who doesn't know. And I'll confess, when my son joined the pack in 2018, we had no clue what scouting was. I was so overwhelmed. For the first 6 months, I was like, drop him off, we'll leave, and then we'll pick him up. If he's happy, we're good. But after drinking the Kool-Aid, it was like, oh my gosh, why did I not join this much sooner and be a part of this and be invested in it? So, but yes, I could go on and on, but I will be reaching out to all the packs and troops that I can within our district, and try to setting some good programs and events and things that we can, as I mentioned earlier, plug and play into for everyone, and build kind of a big awareness campaign. And I welcome questions and conversation, because we want this to work for everyone, right? It's a worthwhile, scouting is worthwhile. So
awesome. Well, thanks for helping spearhead that new group. So appreciate that. Yep. Well, guys, it's 8:44. I know a lot of people I appreciate you guys staying on this long. But yeah, if you guys have other questions or concerns or topic things, just feel free to hit me up. Email me. Again, Doug, Tony, everyone. I mean, again, we're all in this together. We're still we need to support each other, considering it's not an easy task to be like a unit leader. Especially during 2 years of COVID, for that matter. So again, we're all trying to get our muscle memory around how to do things again in person, and also slowly phase out of this mask situation too. So reach out to each other, because we're the only ones who really know what's going on, because we're in the same seat. So and the same hat. We're in the same hat. So anyway,
right, we were all wearing hats. So I kind of have a parting thought. I'm glad you brought that up. So kind of keying off of what other people are saying, we're really not recruiting potential scouts, we're recruiting families. I mean, I grew up in the scouting program. I have a son that's 13 that's in a troop now, and then an 8-year-old in scouting. So it's kind of almost reversed to me. I mean, you're hooking the parents, and then if they can kind of get excited about that, then they can kind of spread that to their kids. And with girls in Cub Scouting and Boy Scouting, I mean, it really can be a family affair,
Totally. My wife's a den leader because my daughter's in it now. She's a lion. My son's a bear. And so it's a nice thing with Cub Scouts. We can have same pack, not like having to have a separate troop. It's like family scouting is great. So anyway, that's a good thought. we're getting families. In fact, most of our recruitment has been multiples. We had 2 families with 3 scouts, another one with 2 scouts. So I mean, with 3 families, and we get like 8 scouts out of that. It's like, wow, fantastic. So anyway, that's the key. So thank you everyone for joining tonight and being on this, and really appreciate your thoughts. You pitched it into the conversation and sharing, and hopefully we get more folks and more of our PAC leaders to show up to more of the roundtables, because there's a lot that comes out of it. And maybe it'll be more meaningful for another aspect of a different topic, but I think all of our den leaders and our Cub Masters and assistant Cub Masters would, really get something out of it. And our chartered org reps, like Stephanie, she's awesome. So anyway, thank you guys. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dave, for leading.
Yep, sure. Thanks. See you guys.
Thanks.
Sure.